two films 100 years apart, both called The Birth of a Nation. Very different movies, but both making strong social statements, with the latest film taking aim at the legacy of the first. The original The Birth of a Nation, a silent movie, came out in 1915. It's an adaptation of the Thomas Dixon Jr. novel, The Klansman, an historical romance of the Ku Klux Klan, about the relationship between two families in the American Civil War and Reconstruction era. It was directed by D.W.GRIFFITH, one of the best-known filmmakers of the period, often referred to as the father of film technique. Griffith produced and directed the first movie ever made in Hollywood, called In Old California, and went on to found United Artists in 1920, alongside Douglas Fairbanks, Mary Pickford, and Charlie Chaplin, who called Griffith the teacher of us all. Nate Parker directed, produced, wrote, and stars in the latest film called The Birth of a Nation, which was picked up for $17.5 million by Fox Searchlight at the Sundance Film Festival. It's about the life and leadership of Nat Turner, a preacher to slaves in the 19th century, a man who eventually led a rebellion against slave owners that killed 60 white people and inspired generations of Africans.
D.W. Griffith, basically regarded as one of the most prolific and innovative filmmakers of all time, in 1915 created a film that was the most racist film, not only of its time, but to date, outside of Goebbels' films against the Poles in World War II. When this film made it to the theaters, KKK's enrollment rose to over 4 million. At the end of such screenings, they would take to the streets and they would lynch the black people that they saw.
Parker hopes that his movie will help address what he sees as many of the social problems that remain in America today.
A lot of it has to do with the legacy of slavery and the legacy of injury that we've endured, whether it be from D.W. Griffith or from slavery itself.
D.W. Griffith, the director of the original film, died in 1948. 5 years later, the Directors Guild of America created the D.W. Griffith Award. It was the Guild's highest honor, and future winners would include Stanley Kubrick, Alfred Hitchcock, and Cecil B. DeMille. But in 1999, the Guild dropped the award, stating that although Griffith was extremely talented, they felt his film The Birth of a Nation had helped foster intolerable racial stereotypes, and that it was better not to have the top award in his name. Parker says that 100 years after the original The Birth of a Nation film, what sets his film apart is that it's relevant now, that people will talk about the film with the specific intention of change.